What's that?
Thanks for coming. A couple of quick comments about last week's game. I thought it was a great team win. I always appreciate Ohio Stadium, our fan base, and the skull session. Just incredible when you see the weather and then you go in the pep rally and all that. It's just always like to never not appreciate what we have in Ohio State. Played a very good team defensively, especially. I had great respect for, obviously, I think they're top 10 in each category, certainly rush defense. And it was, our guys are sore. It was a tough game. It was a tough physical, two sledgehammers going after each other. And I thought we played a very good team. And I thought, once again, 2 weeks in a row, we had to overcome some adversity, whether it be an injury to a player like we had to deal with the Christian Bryant deal against Northwestern, new starter, and then having one of our best players get ejected from the game and have to regroup, and that had an impact on the game. Defensively, the champions were Duran Grant, and C.J. Barnett was a defensive player of the game. Obviously, we need to do a better job on that side of the ball and have more champions play. Offensively, one of our better games since we've been here. Very consistent. Only had 3 possessions in the first half, a touchdown, a field goal, and then we stalled out and went for a 4th down. Second half is probably our best football we've played in quite a while. Our offensive line played exceptional. The champions were Marcus Hall, Jack Muir, and Lindsley. And I'll get to Norwell, so 4 of the 5 were champions because Norwell was one of the players of the game, and Taylor Decker received honorable mention. You'll win most games you play if that happens. Really, really pleased with their offensive line. Tight end Jeff Hireman played very well. Graded out at champion. Plays a lot of plays, 74 plays, and also involved in special teams, 5 extra effort plays. Wide receivers continue to play well. 3 champions once again: Evan Spencer, Devin Smith, and Philly Brown. And then our running back played very well as well. Carlos Hyde. Offensive players of the week, there were 2 of them. Braxton Miller played probably his best game overall. Very efficient in passing, 22 of 27 for 222. Took care of the ball much better. Had one where he laid it on the ground. So they're still continuing to work on that. Ran for 100 yards. And Andrew Norwell, which is really, it's great to see that because I'm a big Norwell fan. As I'm sure a lot of people are, just kind of who he is as a person as well as a leader and a player. So that was our players of the week. Honorable mention was Taylor Decker. And the kicking game champion, special teams player of the week was one guy that was not necessarily but got some recognition, was Basil, did a nice job. And then black shirt goes to Devin Bogart, who did very well on kickoff. We didn't punt, and we had a chance to maybe go get a block kick. So special teams were okay. That game not great, but okay. This week's game, obviously prime time opportunity at the Shoe at night. Great opportunity to show the country once again Ohio Stadium. Ohio State playing a very good team, a team that has another bye week before us. So we have to be prepared. You know, a little bit about Iowa. Did have a bye week, and they came out with 13 grouping, which went back 3 tight ends, and we weren't ready for it. And we didn't adjust very well. So that's something we have to be prepared for when you face a team that has a bye week. And that's going to happen again this week. So we have to be ready, and we will be ready. So I'll answer some questions for you.
Put it up to Bill.
Urban Meyer, when you watch the defensive side of things, were there big problems? Were there things that were more frustrating to you, player execution end or coaching end?
I think a little bit of both. You know, I think we're all in this together, so I think the adjustments need to be made quicker when they give us something that we have not seen. The first 3 drives were alarming. We were getting pushed around. I don't think our defensive line played very well. I think what happened was you have some good emotion in that stadium, and also you go a 13-play drive, and it's like you let the air out of the stadium and the emotion, and that's where Christian Bryant's with great leadership overcomes a little adversity, and we didn't have that. And that's got to come from our coaches and our players, so very disappointed. Can it be fixed? Absolutely. Yeah, we're still a very good rush defense. Only gave up 100-some yards. Pass defense has been a struggle, and we got to continue to work on that because we've dealt with some injuries and depth issues, and we just got to play better. So I'm very, very concerned.
Penn State, like Iowa, has very good tight ends, and that was a big issue. How can you work on that?
It started already. I mean, we better be ready because they're a little bit better throwing team than Iowa. Iowa is.
Second row middle, Dave. Kate Biddle, Bucknuts. Urban, Tommy Shutt's first week back. How's he doing?
He only played 10, 12 plays. I went back and watched it. Today's my day to watch the defense, and he actually did pretty good. I think you'll see more of him in the game because we didn't play very well up front.
And Michael Hill, I want to ask about him. He played the first couple of weeks. Michael Hill.
Yeah, he's got an injury. He's same high school injury that we thought would be improving, and then he's got a shoulder. So right now he's not really, he can't play. So we're trying to get him back as soon as we can.
And if he doesn't play the rest of the year, you could redshirt him. Is that?
I think so. Yeah, I think he only played the first few games.
Yeah.
Front row right, Austin Moore, ESPN.com. Roby set such a high standard a year ago. If it seems like he's up and down, not even including the ejection, is it because he's being held to such a high standard he set, or is it? Or do you guys feel like he's maybe struggling at times this year?
I think once again he did set a high standard, and we all hold that. When I say we, he himself. So he's not playing at the same level he played a year ago. At times he plays fantastic. And then, the one thing about a corner position, when there's a mistake, it's glaring. But he works his tail off, and he's got great work ethic, great attitude. He's coming back every day, and he's going to finish the season real strong.
Last year, remember you had conversations in the preseason maybe about his practice habits and complacency applied in that. What are those kind of conversations like between the two of you now? Now that he made the decision to come back and he's maybe not doing all the things he wanted to.
What's our conversation? There's really not much conversation other than how to get better. Any conversation about coming back, going and all that, that was done back in February. So it's just about his practice work ethic is pretty good. I mean, it's improved, and that's something I keep pushing real hard. But he has been pretty good at practice. I think he's getting ready to have a very good game because he's worked real hard before he got tossed. I will comment on that because I'm sure you asked the question. I think that the NCAA and everybody's going to want to relook at that rule. Ohio State is very concerned about player safety. We have gone to the nth degree about adjusting practice and any rules for the safety of players. No question, we support it. However, that was a game changer. To take one of your better players out of the game, that impacted that game. And then you watch, and we actually had an official come in and speak to our team. The two triggers, I think this is good nationally for people to really understand the rule. This is what we were told, our team was told. There's two ways that you get thrown out of the game. If you hit the crown of your head. And I agree with that rule 100%. Nothing but bad things happen when you play with your head down. And then the second one, when you target someone else's head above the shoulder pads. So they're talking basically what we do on our iPads, and we teach and work real hard at it. As other coaches, and I've shared this, some other coaches have called me, is that you play the game with your shoulder pads, so play below their head. I agree with that 100%. But then to have a guy ejected who played like that, obviously I'm concerned. And Big Ten officials have done a great job. I had a good conversation with Bill, the head of the officials, and they're just looking at it. So I just think on a national level, that's something that needs to continue to be evaluated. First of all, make sure we're doing the right thing for player safety, which I think we are, but understand the devastating impact on that game when you're out. And so I'm interested to see what's going to happen down the road.
Did they give you an explanation, though, of why specifically he was tossed? I mean, was it because if you watch the replay, he definitely makes shoulder pad to shoulder pad contact, but then it looks like their helmets touch. Did you get any kind of...
Yeah, and I'm not sure it's going to get fined or anything, because this is just conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Similar thing.
I think my boss is in the back, so.
We won't put it out there. Don't have to.
Tell him write the check, don't worry about it.
What I was told, and once again, Bill, our officials are fantastic. They want to, I've never had a problem with that, especially communication. And I asked him, I said, the instant replay, because it goes to replay.
Right.
The guy in the field's got the hardest job. The guy at the top gets a chance to relook at it. There was some, after the shoulder pad hit, it slid up. And is it enough to overturn it? I said no, but they're evaluating, they're evaluating as well.
Right. Front row left, Rusty.
Urban, I mean,
That was not that was not the intent of the rule. That play, I can't say that without, I'm sure, getting in trouble. That rule was not put for that play. I guess the term defenseless receiver will come up at times too, but I'm just trying to take. Our job is to teach. What do you teach? Boom, we're in a contact play. We teach you reverse arc, bend, get your pads down, hit with the shoulder pads.
Well, no,
that's what he did.
But Brady's head, he was leaning his head away from the guy too as he hit.
Could you talk a little bit about Hackenberg, if you had an opportunity to see anything of him, Penn State quarterback?
I watched the game. I mean, I think he's a real talent. Knows him all real well. Big, tall, rangy guy, and seems like a real headsy guy. So I've not watched enough of them yet. That's later in the week.
And just another question also, the job that Bill O'Brien confronted when he got the job at Penn State. I mean, could you just offer an opinion on what it must have been like for him and what he has gone through and where they are?
Well, I hate to do that because I wasn't there, and I don't speculate. I would say that I've had some dealings with Coach O'Brien, and over the last year and a half, I think he's a first-class guy. He represents a great school. I do know a lot about Penn State. It doesn't surprise me that Penn State's doing well. I think that circumstances, once again, I don't want to speculate, because none of us are there, but a lot of people act surprised. I don't act surprised. I think they got a very quality coach, and it's a very quality school that overcomes a lot of adversity.
Front row, Doug.
Urban, Doug Maurice, Cleveland.com. You talked about the defense earlier. Is your defense right now good enough for you guys to be the kind of team you want to be?
Yes. I think we need to, we need to shore up the pass. Rush defense, absolutely we are. Even though it started a little slow, we tightened up in the second half. Pass defense is a concern. And but the answer to your question, yes. We have good enough players, we have good enough coaches, we have to play a little bit.
And talking about Hackenberg playing as a freshman at Penn State at quarterback, Braxton played some here as a freshman at quarterback. This day and age, as a coach, is there any hesitation about playing a first-year guy at quarterback? Or if guys are ready, would you put them in there just like you'd put anybody else in there? And has that changed at all in your time as a coach?
I think it's obviously much easier to play the skill positions, but you are seeing freshmen play a little bit. I'd hesitate to do that. We did with Tim Tebow a little bit, but he's just a part-time player. But I'd be hesitant to play a freshman unless you had to. Ideally, that's not this. You want the kid to come in and learn from someone and then go take over.
Front row, Tim. Yeah, if you watch the game Saturday, I know you've looked at it. Corey Philly Brown threw about 4 or 5 huge blocks in that game. Just talk about, of course, he had one push back, but just talk about what you see of him from that aspect. Is that what you were talking about a little bit after the game on Saturday about?
I got to be careful. I'm a really admire players, and my entire career I've done that. And you get sometimes I grab him every day and say, "I throw you out there a lot. Don't you burn us?" Because he is 180 to where he was. He's an absolute leader of this team, absolute unchallenged, unquestionable, maybe one of the leaders. Without, I should say, he is one of the leaders, one of the top 2 or 3 leaders on the team. If you said it a year ago, I said we would have gotten an argument because that's not who he was. So his development as a person, as a player, as a student, I can't say enough. He handled halftime for us. He handled that. So we were not, it wasn't a pleasant halftime. And he took over the pregame, postgame, or whatever, pre-half speech or whatever. And he addressed our team, and he grabbed me by the arm and said, "I need to say something." I said, "You got it." And it wasn't about throwing the ball more.
But just talk about a guy like that, like selling out, blocking, what that.
That's who he is now. He wasn't that before. He is all in. And I think the Carlos Hyde touchdown and what Carlos said about it, when I read that kind of stuff, it makes you feel good as a coach that this team gets it. There's no blaming. There's no arguments on either side of the ball. We've had multiple wins around here where the defense has won the game for us, and then the offense is very appreciative. There's been other times where maybe the offense carried the mail a little bit, and there's other times when special teams do. So there's very good chemistry on this team right now.
Front row, Todd.
Tom Porter, Camp Repository. Urban, you guys put together a game yet, other than maybe Florida A&M, where you've been pleased with all 3 phases of the game, and if not, are you a little surprised that you haven't done that?
Oh, Wisconsin, I was very pleased. I mean, you're going to find out at the end of the year who Wisconsin is. For some reason, they're not ranked very high and all that, or I'm not even sure where they are right now, but I've done this long enough, and I know they're a top 20, top 15 football team, Wisconsin. And we played, that was scores 31-14, I believe, or 31-10 or something at one point against that team. And then we kind of, just played in their hands, and we did not play in their hands, we just kind of tried to win the game. So that game, I think, was pretty darn close to hit on all cylinders, especially the way we were special teams and changing the field position. But other than that, you're right. We have room for some improvement.
Back row, David?
Coach Dave Wilson, 10 TV. You said after the game on Saturday that you were obviously concerned with the slow starts. You go address to see if there was any noise. Curious what your findings were and anything you saw.
No, but so, it's still early in the week. I'm going to start to attack that here. We just have so much other things to do. So I'm watching for that. I do not have an explanation for that yet.
I mean, I guess as the week goes on, we've had teams in this situation that have these high standards and obviously are going to want for playing for national title. How do you address that as the season goes on?
Well, we had our first State of the Union address on, what was it, yesterday, this day, Monday, yesterday, and it's the first time that I do talk about polls, and because I wanted to, they're going to hear it. You know, this BCS thing came out, and my comment was that we are indeed in the mix. Embrace it. In the mix for what? Don't worry about it. We are in the mix, though. People think very highly of you. Maybe some people don't. That doesn't. You just have to go out and be the best team on the field on Saturdays, not in the country. And so I did address it. We just talked about it, and somewhat briefly, but at least it was addressed. It's the first time I've done that.
Last two questions. Far left, Matt.
Matt McQuaid, WTVN. I'm just wondering, from when you got into coaching to now, how much harder is playing defense harder with sophistication of offenses, rule changes, and I'm not making excuses for what you see on defense, but you look at a lot of sports around the country. There's a lot of teams scoring a lot of points now.
I spent some time on their defense. I made the comment it'd be really hard for me to be a defensive coach because it almost seems like you're the nail a lot of times when you're adjusting to what they're doing as opposed to on offense. It's easy to just keep swinging and then you punt the ball if it doesn't work. On defense, it's a whole. That's why I admire don't try to get too involved on defense because they're a hell of a lot smarter than I am. And I think they got a tough job. You're right. I mean, it's the differential. The different offenses that you face nowadays are mind-boggling. 13 grouping, 1 back, 3 tight ends might sound, but you just have all kinds of run fit and gap issues and play action pass issues that you wouldn't have if there was another set. So much more difficult.
Moving far left, Rob.
Rob Aller, Columbus Dispatcher. When you talk about, to go with what he said, you talk about defense needs to get better. Specifically, is that philosophically more press, more pressure? Is it just tackling? Where do you see it, not being on that side of the ball so much, what do you see needs to really improve or change?
I mean, we've gone through a little bit of evolution. First thing, we got to develop some depth in some positions and create a role where you're getting more guys on the field. I don't believe this time a year ago tackling was a major flaw. I don't believe tackling is a major flaw this year. I mean, certainly there's going to be missed tackles. I don't feel an urgency there. I do feel at times when people give us something new, we're kind of a sit back and then react and let's get this thing figured out. And it's probably the intelligent way of doing it, or you might give up fast points. I'd much rather take the more aggressive approach when something bad's happening. But let's go try to disrupt. And we've had that conversation. That's, I don't want to make it sound too easy because it's not. And at the end of the day, that was the performance that, as far as effort, as far as there's been games where maybe we give up a few points because they throw a couple balls down the field, but the effort's ridiculous. I didn't feel that Saturday, so we've addressed that. The fourth quarter, I felt like we played, other than the guy made a mistake and threw the ball over our head. Other than that, we kind of snuffed it out. The second half of the game, we did a good job. So, well, we're addressing it. The guys are working hard. A lot of confidence in the people we're putting out there and everything. So we'll get better.
Urban, can I follow up one thing on Philly real quick? Him just saying at halftime that he wanted to say that to the team. Does that kind of thing happen a lot in your career, that players say something like that?
No, we needed that, and it was, and he walks the walk too. He doesn't just open his mouth up, and it's nice to have a team meeting and show that to the team because they heard what he said, and then it's easy to pop your mouth off and then go sit in the back and sulk or throw your helmet, and he didn't. He just went as hard as he could. So that's a sign of a really good leader. Thanks.
Thank you.